me ask you guys a question. Why do you think Christians have this race to the bottom mentality with pricing?
Well, I think it's something that you had said. You were talking about when you were younger that you love money, right? Like you love money.
Mhm.
And scripture has been manipulated so many times, right? Like the root of all evil is a love of money, right? And and you know that couldn't be further than the truth. It's like it's rooted in every other aspect of our scripture, right? And so since it's been manipulated and we don't do our due diligence, we'll go to church, like you said, the pastor is the Bible. We don't actually look at the text. We don't look at the big T, the big truth, right? The living word. And so if we don't do our due diligence and actually, you know, live our life like Christ, and how we do that is every single day we're talking to God, we're getting in the word, we're understanding how we're supposed to live, what we're supposed to be called to. And I think us as Christians, at least in the West, we live more to the world than we do to what God has called us to be. And so we try to be on the fence. And if you're on the fence, that's a pretty painful place to be. And people don't want to dive into one side, right? You gotta go all in. And so I also think it's passed down through generations, right? From your parents. There's a great story of like this family at Thanksgiving time, and the mom, they like put a meatloaf in the oven, they cut off the ends and then put it in the oven. And the daughter asked the mom, like, why do you do that? Like, honestly, I always did it because grandma did it. And then they asked grandma, like, why did you cut the ends of the meatloaf off the pan and then put it in the oven? And she's like, well, I asked your great grandmother. And so they asked the great grandmother, and the great grandmother said, well, back in our day, we didn't have pans big enough to hold the whole meatloaf. So we had to cut the ends off. And right, people are doing that in their lives. They're just doing things without questioning the why. Why am I doing this? Why am I thinking this way? Why am I living life this way? And that's why, I mentioned, if you're connected to the root, you're going to get some fruit. And you got to be connected to the root so you understand the why of everything in life. So that's my answer. Joel, what do you got?